Leora walked along the edge of the battlefield, watching the distant mountains glow with the light of explosions and fire. The alien war had lasted for many years, and her people had fought bravely but were losing ground. Each day brought new reports of villages destroyed and warriors fallen. Leora had always been a strong leader, but even she could not deny the truth that the war could not be won by force alone. She needed help from somewhere unexpected. She needed a human warrior. Among humans there was a woman named Claire Dawson, who had been talked about in stories and reports for her courage and skill in fighting. Leora had observed Claire from afar and had noticed her strange ability to remain calm in chaos. Claire seemed to think and move faster than anyone else. Leora decided that to save her people she must form an alliance with humans. This meant she had to marry Claire. It was not a decision made lightly. Leora did not know if she could trust a human completely. Humans were different and unpredictable, but the choice had to be made for the greater good. The ceremony was arranged in the capital city of Leora's people. Soldiers from both sides watched silently. Claire arrived calmly and walked forward without hesitation. Leora felt her heart tighten at the sight. It was not just a union of two beings, but a symbol of hope and survival. After the brief ceremony, they stood side by side and looked at the crowd. Some aliens whispered doubts while some humans held back fear. But Leora knew that with Claire by her side, the tide of war could change. Afterward, they began walking through the city together. Leora introduced Claire to her council and generals. Some were openly hostile, questioning the wisdom of trusting a human. Others watched quietly, noting Claire's calm demeanor and quiet confidence. Leora could see the difference Claire made even in small actions. She listened carefully to reports, asked the right questions, and made suggestions that surprised even the most experienced alien leaders. Pyrrhus, Leora's dragon, moved alongside them. The massive creature's scales shimmered under the sunlight. Pyrrhus had always been loyal to Leora, and he now seemed to accept Claire. Sometimes he would nuzzle her or circle protectively. This small gesture of acceptance gave Leora hope that Claire could become part of her world. The first mission after the marriage was difficult. They had to defend a strategic outpost that had been under attack for days. Leora and Claire stood together on the hill overlooking the battlefield. Explosions shook the ground, but Claire remained steady. She pointed out weak spots in the enemy lines and suggested tactics that none of the alien generals had considered. Leora watched in awe as her new human ally led small squads of soldiers into precise maneuvers that turned the battle. Pyrrhus swooped down occasionally, his flames scaring away enemy troops and giving humans a chance to advance. By the end of the day, the outpost was secure. The soldiers cheered, but Leora noticed the exhaustion in Claire's eyes. She realized that the human had risked everything without hesitation. That bravery and intelligence gave Leora a new sense of respect and admiration. At night, they stood together watching the stars. Leora wondered about the future. Would this human remain loyal? Could she trust her completely? Claire spoke softly about the lives she had saved, about the people who depended on her, and about her belief that even impossible situations could be changed with courage and smart actions. Leora listened and realized that perhaps it was not only strength that mattered, but also heart and mind. The human brought something new to Leora's people, a new hope, a new way to fight, and perhaps a new way to live. The next day, they began planning larger battles. Claire suggested strategies that combined human techniques with alien technology. Leora noticed how quickly the soldiers adapted when Claire explained her ideas. Even the council began to see the potential. Leora felt that the war might be winnable after all. She also began to feel a connection to Claire that she had not expected. It was more than alliance. There was trust and an unspoken understanding that they were both fighting for the same goal. As they rode on Pyrrhus across the fields to inspect front lines, Leora knew the decision to marry a human had been dangerous but necessary. And she also knew that Claire was more than just a warrior. She was a partner, a guide, and perhaps the key to the survival of Leora's people. The battlefield was still dangerous and enemies lurked everywhere, but together they had a chance. a chance that no one had dared to hope for before. And as the wind blew through their hair and Pyrrhus' wings cast shadows over the land, Leora felt that maybe, just maybe, the war could end in victory and peace. The sun rose slowly over the horizon, casting a soft golden light across the alien landscape. Claire Dawson walked beside Leora through the camp of soldiers preparing for another day of battle. The air was heavy with tension, but also with a quiet hope. Soldiers were moving in disciplined lines, inspecting weapons, and whispering among themselves about the human queen and her abilities. Leora noticed the mixture of fear and curiosity in the eyes of her people. She knew the road ahead would be difficult, but Claire's presence brought a new strength. Claire moved calmly, observing the soldiers, offering advice, and guiding them with simple instructions that made a surprising difference. Leora followed quietly, watching the human and her dragon Pyrrhus move with ease and authority among the troops. The dragon's wings cast long shadows on the ground. Occasionally, Pyrrhus would roar softly or stamp his massive claws, reminding everyone of his power and loyalty. The humans and aliens were beginning to work together with a shared rhythm. Claire had suggested a new way to arrange defenses around the city perimeter. It combined human formations with alien energy shields. Leora watched as the soldiers followed her orders. The plan worked perfectly. Enemy scouts were spotted early, and the forces were ready to respond. Leora felt pride and relief seeing her people safer for the first time in many months. That afternoon, reports came in about a nearby village under attack. Claire quickly organized a team of humans and aliens to move in and assist. Leora rode Pyrrhus alongside her partner. As they approached the village, they could see the enemy forces advancing with machines that no alien had seen before. Claire studied the terrain and issued orders to her squads. She used the dragon's abilities to block the most dangerous attacks while guiding soldiers to cover and vantage points. The human and alien forces fought together seamlessly. Claire moved among them, offering guidance and encouragement. She risked her own life repeatedly, leading small teams to flank the enemy and save civilians trapped in the village. Leora felt admiration growing inside her for this human warrior who seemed fearless and wise beyond her years. By the evening, the village was safe. The enemy had been repelled with minimal losses. The villagers and soldiers celebrated quietly. Leora noticed that her people were beginning to trust humans more than before. Claire's calm courage and skill had changed the perspective of many. That night, around a small fire, Leora and Claire spoke about the day. Claire told Leora how humans thought and acted in battle. Leora listened and began to understand a new way of approaching problems. Claire's experience, courage, and clear mind were helping more than any weapon or strategy Leora had known. Pyrrhus curled nearby, his massive body glowing softly in the firelight. Leora realized that the dragon, too, had accepted Claire as part of their family. The following days brought more challenges. Enemy forces grew stronger and more aggressive. Claire led patrols, organized defenses, and trained alien soldiers to use combined tactics. Leora noticed a change in her own people. Fear began to be replaced with hope and determination. Even the alien council started listening carefully to Claire's suggestions and strategies. Leora saw that the human's presence was no longer just a symbol. She was a force that inspired and protected. During one skirmish on a ridge overlooking a valley, Claire used her mind and quick thinking to guide a small team to capture a key enemy supply line. Leora watched in amazement as the plan worked without a single casualty. The efficiency and skill of the human leader impressed everyone. Leora also began to understand the connection Claire had with Pyrrhus. The dragon followed her commands almost as if he understood her thoughts. Together they were unstoppable. The bond between Leora and Claire deepened as they faced danger side by side. They began to rely on each other for decisions, support, and understanding. Leora felt that this partnership was more powerful than any army or technology. As the sun set on the horizon, painting the sky with red and gold, Leora looked at Claire and felt hope. The war was still dangerous, but for the first time she saw a path to victory. Claire's courage and wisdom were guiding them all towards safety and strength. With Pyrrhus flying overhead, they were ready to face whatever the enemy might send. And for the first time in many years, Leora allowed herself to believe that peace might be possible if they stayed united and brave. The morning air was cold as Leora and Claire moved through the council chambers of the capital. Whispers filled the room as advisors and generals spoke quietly among themselves. There had been rumors of betrayal, and some feared the human queen could not be trusted. Leora walked beside Claire and felt a sense of unease. The human had proven herself in battle, but suspicion ran deep among the council. Claire moved calmly through the room, acknowledging the eyes that followed her. She did not react to the whispers or judgment. Leora noticed how the human carried herself with quiet strength and focus. Suddenly a messenger arrived, bringing alarming news. An ambush had been planned in a nearby region where alien soldiers and human allies were stationed. Leora felt a cold weight in her chest. She knew that the traitor within her council had acted. Without hesitation, Claire moved to organize a response. She spoke clearly to the soldiers and generals, outlining a plan that would protect civilians and ensure safety for all troops. Leora observed the way Claire moved among the soldiers, offering guidance and encouragement. She seemed to inspire confidence in every eye that met hers. Pyrrhus flew above the city as Claire led small squads to the ambush site. The dragon's wings created strong gusts that slowed enemy machines and allowed human and alien forces to advance. Claire directed the battle with precision. She moved from one point to another, ensuring soldiers were safe and the enemy was kept at a distance. Leora rode beside her, her heart pounding as she watched the human face danger without fear. The enemy had stronger weapons than anyone had expected. Machines roared across the field and alien magic flares clashed with energy shields. Claire assessed the battlefield quickly and shifted squads to block dangerous attacks. She led a group to rescue civilians trapped in ruined buildings while directing Pyrrhus to destroy incoming threats. Leora could not believe what she was witnessing. The human was performing beyond any normal expectation. Her commands were followed instantly and effectively. By midday, the ambush was under control. Casualties were minimal thanks to Claire's quick decisions and clear guidance. The traitor who had planned the attack was captured by combined human and alien forces. Leora felt a mix of relief and awe at the same time. That evening they returned to the capital. Soldiers and citizens alike looked at Claire with respect and newfound trust. Leora realized that the human had not only saved lives but also changed the perception of humans among her people. Around a quiet fire, Claire spoke softly with Leora. She explained the thought process behind her tactics and how she had remained calm in danger. Leora listened and began to understand that strategy, courage, and heart were connected. It was not just power that mattered, but clarity and determination. Pyrrhus rested nearby, watching the human carefully. The dragon's eyes seemed to acknowledge Claire as one of their own. Leora felt gratitude for the bond that had formed between them. In the following days, Claire worked tirelessly, training soldiers and reorganizing defenses. She taught alien commanders human techniques that enhanced their abilities. Leora noticed how her people adapted quickly to these changes. The council also began to see Claire as a valuable partner rather than a threat. Leora felt a quiet pride in her decision to marry this human. The bond between them had grown stronger through danger and cooperation. One afternoon, reports arrived of a hidden enemy camp in the mountains. Claire quickly organized a plan to surprise the enemy and cut off their supplies. Leora and Pyrrhus followed as Claire led the operation. Using both alien and human tactics, they moved swiftly and efficiently. The enemy was caught off guard. Claire guided the teams to surround them with minimal conflict. The soldiers acted with precision and the battle ended quickly. Leora was amazed at how the human combined intelligence, courage, and calm under pressure. That night, as they stood looking over the battlefield, Leora felt that the war was changing. With Claire and Pyrrhus by her side, she believed they could face any challenge. The human's actions had shown not only bravery, but also a power beyond expectation. Leora realized that the war might be won because of the human's abilities and leadership. She also felt a deep trust forming, knowing they could rely on each other in life and in war. The quiet sky reflected in their eyes as they prepared for the next battle, knowing that together they had strength that no enemy could match. Leora understood that this was more than an alliance, it was a partnership that could change the future of their world. The sky was dark with clouds as Leora and Claire prepared for the next battle. Soldiers moved quickly under Claire's guidance, setting up defenses and checking weapons. Pyrrhus hovered above, his massive wings casting shadows on the ground. Leora watched the preparations closely. She could see the determination in every soldier's eyes. They had learned from Claire and were ready to fight together as one. The enemy had grown stronger and more aggressive. Reports suggested they had new machines that could destroy entire squads in seconds. Claire studied the information carefully and made a new plan that combined human strategies with alien powers. Leora noticed how easily the soldiers understood her instructions. Even the most doubtful generals began to trust the humans' insight. When the battle began, Claire moved across the field, giving orders and encouraging the soldiers. Pyrrhus flew low, scaring enemy troops and providing cover for the humans. Claire led small teams to flank the enemy while Leora and Pyrrhus supported from above. The enemy was surprised by the combined tactics. Claire's strategy was precise and effective. By midday, the tide of battle had turned. The enemy forces began to retreat. Soldiers cheered, but Claire remained focused, guiding her troops to ensure safety and prevent ambush. Leora felt a sense of pride in the human warrior. She had never seen anyone lead with such courage and skill. After the battle, they regrouped in a safe area. Claire checked on the soldiers and made small adjustments to improve future actions. Leora followed closely, learning new ways to approach challenges. Pyrrhus rested nearby, keeping a watchful eye over the group. That night around the fire, Claire spoke with Leora about the day. She explained her decisions and the reasons behind her actions. Leora listened and understood the intelligence and bravery required to lead. She realized that Claire's power was more than physical strength, it was her mind and heart guiding every move. In the following days, Claire continued to train soldiers and develop strategies. Leora noticed the soldiers grew stronger and more confident. The bond between human and alien forces became stronger. Leora could feel the change. Hope replaced fear among her people. Even the council began to trust the human queen's judgment and follow her advice. Reports came of a large enemy force gathering in a valley to the north. Claire quickly organized an attack to prevent the enemy from advancing. Leora and Pyrrhus followed as Claire led her forces. Using speed and precision, they struck the enemy before they could prepare. The battle was fierce, but the humans' leadership and Pyrrhus' strength made the difference. The enemy retreated and the valley was secured. Leora felt a deep respect for Claire. She had not only protected lives, but also changed the course of the war. The soldiers were inspired and morale was high. Leora realized that the humans' presence was vital for the future of her people. That evening they stood looking at the valley. The sky was calm and the stars reflected on the land. Leora knew that the war was still dangerous, but with Claire and Pyrrhus by her side, they had a real chance for victory. The human had shown a power beyond imagination, and Leora felt gratitude and trust. She understood that together they could face any enemy and protect their people. The partnership had grown strong and unbreakable. The bond between them was more than alliance, it was strength and hope for a new future. The final battle approached and the tension in the air was heavy. Leora and Claire moved through the army, checking weapons and encouraging soldiers. Pyrrhus flew above the lines, keeping watch for any enemy movement. The humans and aliens worked together as one unit, and the soldiers' confidence had grown immensely under Claire's guidance. Leora felt a sense of pride seeing her people prepared for what could be the decisive moment of the war. Reports showed that the enemy had gathered all remaining forces in a stronghold surrounded by cliffs and forests. Claire studied the maps carefully and formed a plan that would attack from multiple angles. Leora watched as the human organized squads of humans and aliens to carry out the plan with precise timing. The day began with a cold wind blowing across the battlefield. Claire led the advance with Leora and Pyrrhus close behind. The enemy was ready, but Claire's strategy had the advantage of surprise and coordination. Pyrrhus swooped down, driving back enemy troops while Claire directed forces to flank the enemy. Leora was amazed at the human's calm focus as she moved between squads giving orders and helping soldiers in danger. The battle raged on for hours. Machines roared and flashes of alien power lit the battlefield. Claire remained composed, guiding everyone with clear and simple instructions. Even when faced with overwhelming numbers, she kept moving and inspiring soldiers to fight bravely. Leora could see the awe in the eyes of her people as they witnessed the human's courage and power. Slowly the enemy began to falter. Claire coordinated attacks that cut off their supplies and weakened their lines. Pyrrhus played a vital role keeping enemies from regrouping while protecting the soldiers. As the sun began to set, the enemy stronghold was surrounded and their forces were captured or retreating. Leora felt a sense of relief and wonder at what they had accomplished. The human warrior had led them to a victory that no one thought possible. After the battle, Claire walked among the soldiers, checking on the wounded and making sure everyone was safe. Leora followed, noticing how the human inspired respect and admiration. The alien council and generals came forward to express their gratitude. They could see that the human was not just a warrior, but a force that had changed the course of the war. That evening, Leora and Claire stood on a hill overlooking the battlefield. Pyrrhus rested nearby with his wings folded. Leora spoke quietly with Claire about the journey they had shared. Claire explained how careful planning, courage, and trust had helped them succeed. Leora felt deep appreciation for the human warrior and understood that the partnership had been key to survival and victory. The stars reflected on the land and a calm peace settled over the battlefield. Leora knew that although the war was over, the future still held challenges. She felt confident that with Claire and Pyrrhus by her side, they could face anything together. The bond between them was strong and unbreakable. Claire had shown a power beyond imagination and a heart that inspired all who followed her. Leora realized that marrying the human had been more than a necessity. It had been a choice that saved lives and brought hope to a world on the brink of destruction. As they watched the night sky, Leora felt a sense of peace and determination. The war had ended, but a new era had begun. Humans and aliens had learned to work together. Trust and courage had forged a new future. Leora and Claire knew that as long as they stayed united and brave, they could protect their people and build a world where all could live safely. Pyrrhus shifted his massive body, resting his head near Claire's feet. Leora looked at the human and smiled, knowing that the decision to trust her had been the right one. Together they had changed the course of history and created a bond that no enemy could break.